in the lab assignment, the first exercise is finishing off this interactive story. So you're basically going to create a new Visual Studio project, and you're going to copy and paste this existing code. Okay, and this existing code is missing the methods. So you can use that handy dandy little trick that the book showed you in generating methods, and that you are going to fill in the methods. Okay, so if you come down here, there are 4 methods that you're going to have to create. And so here's the name of the method. And then here are the directions that you need to follow to create that method. Okay, and here's the next one and the directions. For the actions method, I have directions, and I actually have some code that you can copy and paste. So I'm actually really helping you out with that one. And then there is a check results method that you also need to create. And this is a sample of the output. Okay, and the portion of the output that is coming from check results is bold-faced. So you can kind of see how that works. The other portions that you're seeing are, this is coming from the start of the program, and then this is the direction method. This is coming from the action method, and then here we've got check results. Okay, so we've got direction method, got the action method, and we've got check results. Okay, so a lot of this has been coded for you, especially the logic in main. You just have to complete these methods that are missing. Okay, and once you get this thing working, then you're going to copy and paste the code into the Dropbox. So that is the first exercise. If you run into any problems, if something's not working right, you can pop into live stream office hours. You can actually stop into the lab for this class, which is going to be on Wednesdays. And if you're in the live stream, you will be in the lab. But if you're an online student, feel free to stop into the lab because I can help you in there. Or if the live stream hours and the class hours don't work for you, then just send me an email and we can schedule a different time to meet. With programming classes, I have found that it's really helpful to meet in Zoom because then you can share your screen and we can kind of go through the logic and get it all fixed for you. Exercise 2, you're going to create your own interactive story. So you can actually use your completed assignment from exercise 1 as kind of a template for this. And so you can basically do it on whenever you want. You know, if you want a frog adventure where the froggy is trying to cross the road, you can do that. Or like a fishing tale, you know how people tell fishing stories. So you can do something like that. Whatever it is that you want to do for your interactive story. My requirement is that you have at least one reference variable. So in a fishing tale, it just could be the number of fish that was caught that you're going to change. Or it could be your bait, right? Your worms. So if you do something good, you get extra bait, and, or maybe the boat tips and you lose all your bait. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you could do with that. And then for the frog, you might want more than one variable, maybe lives and health or something like that. Hopefully the frog can make it across the road. You should have a method that increases or decreases values based on random numbers, similar to what we did in our great adventure in the action method. And then you should have a method that prints out results after each round. You also need to determine when the game is over. So, you know, for the fishing adventure, you might have it over if they've caught their limit of fish or if they run out of bait. And for the froggy, obviously, if he makes it to the other side of the road, awesome. If he doesn't, if he runs out of lives or health, that would also end the game. So you decide what you want to do with that. I'm actually really excited to see what you guys come up with. Try to have fun with it. Let's see, exercise 3. You're going to finish coding a program by adding missing methods with exception handling. So I've actually given you a huge help in here because you're going to create this program and you're going to call it Math Magic. And then I've given you some code here that you can copy and paste. Being the nice guy that I am, I've actually given you one of the methods. I've given you the division method. And that is where the try and catch error handling is. And if you look here, if they get the wrong answer, you are giving them feedback. So you're calling this little wrong feedback method, which gives them random feedback. Okay, that's kind of the point of it. So basically you come in here, you're passing it 2 random numbers from the main method, and then you calculate the correct result and you display, what is the first number divided by the second. You read in their answer, and as long as their answer is not correct, you give them a different feedback. You keep prompting them, you keep reading it in, and you add 1 to missed. Okay, and you're going to let them miss 10 times. Okay, so once they get above 10, or they get to 10, then they've just plain missed too many, and they need to see tutoring, and then you're going to break out of this. Okay, so once they get the right result, as long as they haven't missed more than 10, we are going to give them correct feedback, and that will also be random. Now, what happens if they're typing in their answer and they don't type in a number? Well, that is where the exception handling comes into play. So down here, format exception is built in to C#, and it basically is for when they enter bad data. So here I am expecting an integer, but if they keyed in text, that would flag this bad data. And instead of terminating the program, it basically displays the error message. It goes back up to the main method and goes ahead and displays the menu. So it lets them continue. Okay? Normally, if you get an error like that, the program just stops. Okay? So that's kind of the benefit of using exception handling. So we've got this format exception, which for what we're doing, that is the most likely problem that we're going to encounter. I did also include a generic catch. So this generic one is going to handle anything else. Okay, so we've got our division method, and then I've got the wrong feedback method, and I've got the menu here for you. And this little menu is actually letting them choose a letter. So how that works in C# is we use console.read, and console.read reads in an integer actually, but that is how you have to read it in. And so we read it in as an integer, okay? And because we're using read and not read line, it has a new line character that is still in the queue. Okay, so then we got to get rid of the new line character, and then we have to convert it into a character, which is what this does. Okay, so we are reading in the letter as an integer, getting rid of the new line, converting it into an actual letter, A, S, or M, whatever, and then that is what's being returned. Okay, and everything that's up in main is pretty straightforward. We've got 2 integers. We're declaring a random object. We're getting our 2 random numbers. And then we've got the menu displayed, and then we're checking, what they entered and calling the appropriate method. So what do you have to do? You have to create the subtraction, the multiplication, and the addition methods. And you also have to create the right feedback method, which is going to be almost identical to the wrong feedback method. In fact, you can kind of copy this and change the name. The difference is that instead of giving them a, oh no, you missed message, you need to give them a positive message. Okay, so that is what you need to do for this third exercise. So you're going to debug it, make sure everything runs correctly, and then you will copy and paste the correct code into the Dropbox. This last exercise, creating overloaded methods. With the last one, you're going to create a new program called Temp Converter. And you'll copy and paste the code that I have here. And in this, we have 3 methods that we need to create. I've given you the menu, and I've given you main. So when you come in here, there's a couple variables that we're declaring. The number type, we're declaring a number to convert that's an integer and one that we're going to convert that is double. Okay, and then we call the menu. So this is kind of like the last menu that we looked at. We've got character options that we have to read in using console.read. Then we have to convert that to actual characters because it comes in as an integer. And then because I didn't want to have to check for upper and lowercase letters, I'm converting whatever they entered into uppercase. So for the error handling here, all I have to do is check the uppercase letter to make sure they keyed in the right one. And if they didn't, then I'm going to make them key in, the C, F, or Q. And then once I've got a C, F, or a Q, then I'm going to return it. Okay, so then when we come in here, we know we have a C, F, or Q, which is the type. And we know that it's not going to be a Q because if it is a Q, we're done. And so it's going to be a C or an F. And then we need to know if they want to enter the temperature as a real number or a whole number. And so we're going to have them type whole or real. And we're going to read that in. And then we've got our little error handling, making sure they either typed whole or real. And then once we get out of there, then we want them to enter the type or the temperature that they want converted. So if the type was whole, then we know that we're going to get an integer. So we're going to come in here and read from the console, converting it to an integer. And then we're going to call convert type. We're passing it type, which is either Fahrenheit or Celsius, and we're passing it the whole number. Okay. Otherwise, if the number type was not whole, that means it was real. So we know that we're getting a double number. So we use double.parse, and then we call convert temp with the type, which is again going to be Fahrenheit or Celsius, and our double number to convert. So you'll notice that the name of the method is the same. What is different is what we are passing, and that is how you create overloaded methods. And so you are going to have to create convert temp, and you're going to have to do 2 different versions of it. One of the versions is going to have character type, an integer, the number to convert, and the other version is going to have character type and a double number to convert. Okay, so you need 2 different versions of this. Okay, and that'll probably go below your character method. As far as the formulas that you need to use, once you get into the method, okay, so let's say you're in the convert temp for integer. You're going to create an integer converted variable. I actually called mine int converted. Okay. And I set it equal to 0. And then I have an if else where I'm checking the type. Okay. So if the type is equal to Fahrenheit, if it's equal to an F, I set my converted variable equal to the Fahrenheit calculation, which is right here. Okay. My else statement then will set converted to the Celsius calculation. Okay. So I set converted to the Fahrenheit or the results of the Fahrenheit calculation, and I print out the message. Otherwise, if it's not an F, I set converted to the results of the Celsius calculation, and I print out the message. So I've got some sample runs here that you can look at. This first one, I was testing whole numbers. The second one, I was testing real numbers. And then the last one, I was testing the error handling. Okay, so the error handling is built in. You shouldn't really have to do anything with error handling. I have that all built in to try and catch for you because that is where they are entering the data. And you're not going to have any data that you're entering in the two methods that you are creating. You are simply determining whether you need to calculate a Fahrenheit or a Celsius temp. You are calculating the appropriate temp and you are printing it out. Okay, so that is the exercise. If you run into problems, let me know and I can help you. But once you do get this running, you will copy and paste that into the Dropbox and you will be done with the assignment. Okay, so 4 different exercises. Hopefully you will find them fun. And if you do run into problems, if there's anything that you are confused about, any code, you're not sure what it does, please ask me, okay? Because it's important that we all get on the same page here in this review and that you guys all understand this moving forward.